Hey class, this is a quick overview. This really is going to help you with lesson 8. We've been talking a lot about similar figures. Similar figures are figures that have the same shape, but not necessarily the same size. As you can see here in Mini-Me, similar, same shape, but not the same size. This picture here, a picture of the dog Sadie, they're similar because they're the same shape, same picture, and just not the same size. We already wrote this in our notes, but this is the part we're going to focus on. Is similar figures will have the same shape and all angles are congruent. That is super important. Go ahead and pause here if you were absent and make sure you take your notes for similar triangles. Similar triangles have the same shape and angle measurements, okay? The measurements of the angles need to be the same. And all angles of a triangle equal to 180 degrees. So for example here, I can see this is 60 and this is 50. This is 60 and this is 50. I can determine that these two triangles are similar. But I can also find the missing angle. If I add these together, I'm going to get 110. So I can go ahead and write 110. And I'm going to subtract from 180. Let me make this clear. It's 110. And when I subtract, I'm going to get 70 as my angle. That will be for both 70 here and 70 here. I can determine a missing angle by knowing these two things and be able to find if they are similar or not. Here's another teacher example, and you can write this in your notebook. Determine if these two triangles are similar. We got to remember two things. One more time, the angle, the shape and the angle are the same, and all angles must equal 180. So if these must equal 180, I would add these together and I will get 115. 115 minus 180 would give me 65, and I can say these are similar. What if I'm given something like this? Well, again, I can add these together. 80 plus 47 is going to give me 127. When I subtract 127 from 180, then I would find my missing angle. In this case, I would get 53. Same thing here. If I add 80 and 53, I would then get 133, and then I would have 47 as the missing angle. So these two triangles are not. Okay, so really quickly, basically some things you want to look for is one, are the angles already the same? In this case, you can see they are. So you can add them together and subtract. In this case, I'm going to get 115, and when I subtract 115 from 180, I would get 65. In this case, they are different. So I can add these together, and in this case, I'm going to get 115, which then I know this is 65, because 115 minus 180 is going to give me 65. And here, this is going to be 113 minus 180. So I'm going to have 180, and I'm going to subtract from 103. When I add these together, I get 103. And when I subtract 103 from 180, I am going to get 77. So my answer is 77, and these are not similar. You can see this is 65 and 77. Another thing you can do is add all angles together, because if these were congruent, the 23 will go here, and you see if they're 180. There's multiple ways to do this. These are not similar. In this case, again, I can add the 70 over here and see if they're 180. And in this case, they are. So then these would be similar. What if you're thrown something like this, where you have one angle and two angles here? Well, I can see if they add together to make 180. Since they don't and they make 210, then I know they are not similar. Therefore, don't forget, similar triangles, they must have congruent angles. So that's an overview on how we did the lesson. For the homework, go ahead and look at 8th overview, lesson 8 overview, homework and classwork help.